There's an obvious way that Zack Snyder can be brought into the new DCU. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Snyder was known for directing many of the DCU's movies, including Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. The director eventually moved away from the superhero universe to direct some of his passion projects like Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon, but that doesn't rule Snyder out from returning to the DCU under Gunn. James Gunn's new DCU is now in full swing, putting to bed the past films and series in the DCU, including many of Zack Snyder's works. However, the new DCU has a project on its slate that would be perfect to reintegrate Snyder into the cinematic book universe. Finding the right DCU project for Snyder would be an easy way to appease these fans and give the director a chance to return to his comic book movie expertise. One issue lies in Snyder's reluctance to return to the DC world. In December 2023, Snyder told The Atlantic he was not knocking on James Gunn's door, asking to be let back into the DC. However, he also expressed interest to The Hollywood Reporter at the time in making a Dark Knight Returns adaptation for the DCU, so there's a chance the right project could bring him back. The old DCU was heavily influenced by the tone and style of Zack Snyder. While James Gunn and Peter Safran's new DCU is going in a different direction, that doesn't mean it can't still incorporate other directors' visions. In fact, bringing Snyder back could actually be of benefit to the new DCU as the director brings with him a passionate fanbase eager to see him take on more superhero projects. Early in 2023, Gunn and Safran announced The Authority, which has been described as DC's version of The Boys. The Authority features a team of heroes gathered from Wildstorm Comics, one of whom will make an appearance in 2025 Superman. The group is something of an anti-Justice League and, while they are good-intentioned, the group is more cynical and aggressive in their methods to protect the planet. As for what that project might be, it can't be something he has done before. The character of Superman is being taken over by Gunn himself in the 2025 Superman reboot, and Batman is handled by multiple directors in Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 and Andy Muschietti's The Brave and the Bold. Instead, Snyder needs a DC project that takes him back to his roots and suits his darker tone and sensibilities. Luckily, there is such a project on the docket for the DCU's first phase. Zack Snyder once again opened up about the problematic production history of Justice League. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. Many would agree that film vastly improved on its theatrical counterpart, ranging from its story beats all the way to different character moments. This development ultimately led to another fan campaign for Snyder to finish off his envisioned trilogy for Justice League, but the chances of it happening are slim to none, especially after the troubled production history of the franchise. On the heels of the release of Snyder's other film Army of the Dead, the director has once again shared intriguing comments about his situation with Warner Bros. Zack Snyder's Justice League might have already premiered on HBO Max, but it's clear that the fight of the fandom to restore the Snyderverse is far from over. The famous director's cut from Zack Snyder had its fair share of ups and downs over the years, but a sense of triumph was cemented when HBO Max decided to release the film in all its 4-hour glory back in March 2021. Snyder then bared that he needed this experience again, especially after revealing that Warner Bros. Still tortured him while he was doing the Snyder cut of Justice League. Oh God yeah. God yeah. It was cool to do the Snyder cut of Justice League and that was fun and everything. But Warner Bros. Still tortured me the whole time for whatever reason, they can't help it. I don't know why I'm such a fucking pain in their ass because I'm not trying to be, honestly. Army of the Dead director Zack Snyder recently sat down with Uproxx to talk about his upcoming Netflix film, and one of the topics that was discussed is the tumultuous production history of the DCU's Justice League movie. Uproxx mentioned that seeing Snyder direct the upcoming Netflix film as someone who went back to his roots, considering that his first zombie hit was 2004's Dawn of the Dead. The visionary director agreed by saying, "It is a little bit. I'd say it's a good analogy because I shot the movie and I wrote the movie. Clearly, it comes from the well, if you will, in a pretty significant way. And so, yeah, I think that's a pretty good analogy. I buy that." Uproxx then said that they don't want Snyder to get into too much trouble due to his comments, but the director pointed out that Warner Bros. Was the ones that have been aggressive this whole time. "No, I agree. I don't want to get in trouble either, but I'm not going to sit here and let them act like that and not. Look, they're the ones that have been aggressive, not me. I haven't done anything. Every day they'd turn around and do some weird passive-aggressive thing. So, I don't know. It's weird. The interviewer asked Snyder if he's worried if a similar situation will happen with another studio. While acknowledging that the Warner Brothers situation is a once-in-a-generation bizarro situation, Snyder implied that he's not really bothered by it, with him even flaunting his great partnership and amazing experience with Netflix for the Dave Bautista-led project. Well, I just don't know who would ever end up on the other end. If you analyze what's happened with Warner Brothers, it's not a normal situation. It's a once-in-a-generation bizarro situation. I just had an amazing experience with Netflix, and it was awesome, and we had a great partnership and an incredibly great experience. So the only thing I would say is that it's an unusual situation. It's no secret that the production history of Justice League is filled with head-scratching moments. Still, Snyder ended by mentioning the fact that he had a great time finishing Justice League. But look, like I say, I had a great time making Justice League. I'm super glad I got to finish it. From Joss Whedon's reported abuse on set to the studio's meddling with Snyder's plans for the DCU, it seems that this chapter of the franchise was pushed to the limit, and these latest comments from Snyder essentially prove that notion. It is not known how Warner Brothers tortured Snyder during production, but it looks like he is alluding to the fact that they interfered with some of the narrative direction of the film. This includes the removed appearance of Wayne T. Carr's Jon Stewart and opposing the climactic moment of Ezra Miller's Flash during the final battle. It's no secret that the production history of Justice League is filled with head-scratching moments. Ahead of the next DC movie's release, director Zack Snyder shared his own excitement for the leading hero. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Please like, share and subscribe for more. Even after Snyder's falling out with Warner Brothers following his run with the Snyderverse, some of his characters will still be used moving forward, uniquely connecting him to the new set of movies and TV shows beginning in 2024. He's also helped the franchise during its current course of action, taking to social media to celebrate movies like The Flash while offering praise and support to new DC Studios co-CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran in their new endeavor. Former DC director Zack Snyder just shared his hype for the oncoming DCU reboot's first superhero. Looking forward to taking my kids to see Blue Beetle. #representation matters, #Blue Beetle. Snyder also shared a promotional image from the movie featuring Xolo Maridueña's titular hero standing in the rain fully suited up in his Blue Beetle costume with his sword materializing out of his arm. Posting on his X, formerly Twitter account, DCU mainstay Zack Snyder celebrated the upcoming theatrical release of Blue Beetle. Highlighting the Latino representation this film will bring to the superhero movie landscape, Snyder expressed his excitement to take his kids to see with Xolo Maridueña's Jamie Reyes being the first superhero of many to take a spot in the oncoming DCU reboot. Seeing Zack Snyder's support should only help the franchise see some level of success moving forward. And while the current financial outlook for Blue Beetle isn't looking good ahead of its debut, the character seems to have a bright future ahead of him as Gunn and Safran's story develops further. Blue Beetle director Angel Manuel